Oh my gosh. It's 2:28 in the morning. Oh my goodness. You want to know why it's so late? Because I just talked to Danny on the phone for 3 hours and we were cooking. Ooh. Okay. Here's what is on this brain. Like a lightning bolt on the head. I am so dramatic. I am so emotional. I feel every ounce of my emotions, and that is my gift. Is that I am so emotional and I embody the emotion, and what that allows me to do is have such a deep understanding for the feeling that I can remember moments through my emotions, and I can remember what it took to shift me out of an emotion. What does that allow me to do? It allows me to show up for people in all of these emotions in the way, because I remember my emotions so clearly, so strongly. I know how to show up for other people in these emotions. I really do think that that is why I am so dramatic. And so this is like, it's a gift, guys. This really helps me feel so grateful and like blessed with this gift. I think I used to see being emotional as a negative thing, but this is a really special quality. It's like, on one hand, you could see it as like, I feel deeply, or you could see it as, I feel deeply. I feel like it finally sank in. The second one, the excited one, I feel deeply. I understand every emotion. I mean, think about this. Last night, me and Danny were just joking that Talia will say something to me and she's like the wrecking ball, and then Danny is like the cleanup crew. So this is what happened last night. Talia says, I wanted to talk to you about something. You know, I want the man in your life to be deserving of you, and I want them to earn your love. And that's all I'm gonna say. And based off that conversation, I went into a little bit of an emotional spiral. Okay. And you watched it on video. I had to do that. That was very important, because from that feeling, I create the best. I create such incredible insights from there. I can see where I get stuck. I can see where I can get stuck, and then me, Danny, and Talia can create like almost like a playbook for, oh my gosh, if we're talking to somebody who is stuck in anger or grief or fear, this is the narrative that's going on in their head. I live it. It allows me to create. Oh my gosh. My emotions are such a gift. So last night when Talia gave me this feedback, and I dipped into this low emotion, and I replayed these stories, these like old stories that I've already conquered and I work past, like started resurfacing. This is really good. It's really good to understand that, like, whenever there are certain things that trigger me, like Talia saying, like, I want the man in your life to earn your love, and I want him to be deserving of your radiance, and I don't want you to be married in your head, and I want you to detach, and I want you to let go, and I want you to be open. And I'm sitting there, and it's like the emotional experience that I have listening to that. I'm just gonna let you in on this because I think it's very interesting. This is and this is deep. This is really deep. underneath these things. But as Talia is saying these things to me, I logically understand. I'm logically sitting there fully with her. And I'm thinking, yes, he does need to be deserving. I shouldn't be married in my head. Like, I am my most radiant self right now. Of course it would make sense that the man who I'm meant to be with would need to earn that. And I'm like sitting here, and like the man that I'm with needs to be living in truth, you know? And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, yes. But there's another reality, emotionally. Because my mind always gets it. My mind always understands. But as I'm sitting here listening to Talia in the car, I'm sinking. I'm slumping a little bit in my seat. I'm reliving it. I'm feeling heavy. I'm collapsing. My mind is saying, yeah, of course. My body is saying, oh, here it comes again. And this that I'm explaining to you, this is a past wound. This is a trigger. This is something that's so deep. It's underneath so many filters, and it's usually from a long time ago, the root of it. That, when you sink into an emotion like that, and your logical mind gets it, like if someone's giving you like tough love or tough advice, and your mind gets it, but your body is reacting and slumping and feeling heavy. You have to look into your past and find the first time that you felt that sinking. And you don't think about this too hard. Like, you just have to remember, like, visualize. Feel the emotion really strongly. You're sinking. And visualize, like, where was I? What are other times I felt like this? And just play whack-a-mole with the experiences, and you'll find the most painful one. You will find it. And I had an example of this today. So I'll walk you through this process. So in addition to my soul surgeons, Dr. Daniel Miranda and Dr. Talia Jacqueline, I do go to tradition. Wow, I've never sneezed in one of these before. Was that a cute sneeze? I hope so. Also, while I'm off topic, Talia came and got me a gift today. And that's what these flowers are for, these beautiful flowers. She brought me these flowers and this chocolate. Who ate half the chocolate bar? Is there a rat in my apartment? Must be. Anyway, but she got me that, and she got me some. Y'all mind if I have a piece? Okay, never mind. She got me some bath bombs and some Palo Santo, which is like the smelly good stuff. It's like basically like a wooden stick that you light, and then you just go like through the house. It's really nice. It smells delicious. I like brought it all through the house earlier. And she got me a unicorn bath bomb and some rose Epsom salts because there was Suzette, her aunt, when she channeled for me, she had said I had a really floral energy and that I need to be like surrounded by flowers and take lots of luxurious baths with flowers, and that will activate my essence. That was the channeling that I had done, where she said that I was the favorite wife and goddess in a Turkish harem in the Ottoman Empire a long time ago. So just to run that one back, because like that was one of the greatest hits for real. If you've been here from day one, you know what I'm talking about. Shout out Susie. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Maybe it's because it's 2:30 in the morning. So excuse me. But find the original thread. I go to traditional therapy as well because I take what I do with my soul surgeons, Danny and Talia, and I go to my therapist and I'm like, hello, ma'am, this is where we have determined I am not free. Help me. Like, I want to work on this. So, for example, when Danny and Talia and I discover that I have a vulnerability block, I will be like, hello, therapist of mine, please help me figure out why I have this block. And so it's like, I really am such a problem solver with my own psyche. It's amazing. I really is. I feel it's like a gift to want to like understand myself so well, so thoroughly, and hopefully all of my work helps you in these videos, maybe. I am the community therapist. Okay, anyway. So I go in there today and I'm like, hello, ma'am. Hello, my wonderful therapist who I love so much. Like I've had some bad therapists in my day. If you know, you know. I just told Danny this story, which is why it's so funny I'm bringing this up right now. I'm just going to tell you because it was actually really devastating and but really funny. Okay, so in 2021, which was basically like my down bad period where I was trying desperately to distract myself and escape my pain by all means necessary. So I was in therapy throwing like every piece of spaghetti at the wall trying to like fix myself. I was like, I am not in a good place because I had lost someone I thought I was going to spend my life with to something very tragic, and I basically gave myself like 2 months to heal. And when I was healing home in Florida, I was basically on Hinge all day long and like matching with guys and then texting them all day long. And I was texting like 5 guys at once so that I could constantly be distracted by anything but my own feelings. And so my like obligatory healing months from something that was very, very traumatic for me, I refused to feel it. And then I went back to Austin and I got into this like short relationship and I made it so much bigger in my head because it was distracting me from the severe pain that I felt earlier in the year. So that's what's really interesting about these subconscious behaviors is a lot of the time there's a root pain that is so difficult to face that you will pile on a bunch of less painful things, but like less painful but confusing things, and you will inflate their importance and make them so much bigger than they are because it's safer to fixate on something that's confusing and there's no clear answer, but it doesn't have a deep emotional pain than it is to actually confront the deep emotional pain. So let me give you the example for me. I hope this is helpful maybe. But the example for me is that my deep emotional pain that I did not want to face was losing someone I thought I was going to spend my life with to something very tragic, which happened in 2020. I did not want to go there. I did not want to turn over that rock for a while. So what is the thing that I fixated on to avoid going there? A very short relationship that I had in 2020 that was like a blip. And like now I can sit here and say like I didn't even know that guy. Like we did not know each other long enough to even understand like who each other was. And within the first like couple months of knowing somebody, you only get their customer service representative, so you're not even really getting their true self most likely. Like you're getting like the person that they tailor made for you to try to get with you, try to impress you. So now I can look at that and say like, I blew that out of proportion because I was so desperate to escape my deeper pain. Like, that is what happened there. And I can see it so clearly now, to where it's like, whoa. But at the time, I went to therapy in 2021 after these two relationships had ended, and I was spinning my wheels on the less painful relationship, the shorter one, and my therapist was like validating my frame instead of being like, what's underneath this like really short relationship that didn't matter, like what's underneath her. She was not going there. She was just letting me stay and spin my wheels on like this short relationship that wasn't actually the source of my pain. But it was confusing, and it was like fun to like fixate on, because you could just create a billion what ifs, right? So like if something doesn't make logical sense, like, oh, the relationship ended, why? Okay, well, you could sit there all day long and come up with like 400 reasons why, and you could explore every single one of them, and you could profoundly waste your time, right? That's what I wanted to do. That's what I was doing in these sessions. So it got pretty exhausting, right? Because we were just going over that same beat. We're running back that track. She was hearing the greatest hits. She was hearing the neuroses on loop, baby. Okay? Max volume. And I can understand now that, you know, bless her, that probably felt tiresome. I am quite entertaining though, so even though I'm running back the greatest hits, the comedy set is still, it's giving. I'm providing, you know, I'm showing up, right? So with all that said, about almost a year into my therapy relationship with this woman, I'm in the middle of a session, probably 20 minutes in, and we're on Zoom because we never met in person. This was like peak COVID. We're on Zoom, and I'm 20 minutes in the middle of a story, in the middle of spinning one of my fantasy tracks, right? Where like my what ifs, you know, spinning one of my webs. And all of a sudden, I hear the all too familiar sound of a video, a TikTok, being accidentally hit. This woman was literally watching a TikTok and turned the volume on by accident in my therapy session. Let me just tell you, that'll make you reconsider what your rock bottom is. It was a unique kind of devastating. It was like, damn, I'm really paying this woman to listen to me, and I'm so tiresome. She can't even do that. Like the one, she watching short form video out of frame at this point. God bless her, honestly. God bless her soul. But I just need to tell you that story because that says it all. That really, of course, that happened to me. So funny. But anyway, after that therapy relationship, and I went to this amazing therapist, her name is Nina. Love my girl Nina. And I'm like a lot more evolved and willing to confront and look at my pain than I was back then. I give myself grace. In 2021, I really desperately wanted to be better, but I was trying to, at the same time, avoid the deepest pain. And it wasn't until I like really stared at the deepest pain in all areas that I got somewhere. But you have to be ready to do that. And I have a tremendous amount of empathy for people who know that they are held back by something that happened to them in the past, and they have an awareness for it, but they aren't ready. You know, you can't force someone to be ready. It's something you have to want for yourself. You have to want to feel the feelings. You have to want to feel them deeply and fully and without reservation, without hesitation. You have to make that choice. No one can make it for you. No one can tell you, like, here's a roadmap to what you need to do to find total freedom. It's like, no, you've got to be in so much pain and be so frustrated with yourself. Like the rock bottom of my therapist watching a TikTok during my session, that gave me something to think about. That was like, damn, I need to get my act together. Sometimes it takes something like that. It takes a moment of accidental truth for you to look at yourself and say, all right, I'm ready to move on now. I'm done distracting myself. I'm done focusing on the top layer story. I'm ready to go in, I'm ready to get in there. So all that's to say, it's that deeper pain that usually a string of these deep pains, because there's like one massive pain, but there are also, it's like a constellation. It's like there's like a core pain, and then there's little offshoot pains, and all of those pains create narratives. So one of the things that was happening to me when Talia was giving me this feedback about, like, the man you're with needs to deserve your love. And I want to make sure that, like, because you're in peak radiance, that the man that you're with understands that you are extremely valuable and you're in your peak radiance, and he needs to, like, be showing up with high effort in all moments, and he needs to understand. And I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, like, okay, my internal experience is that what my friend is telling me here is that I'm allowing someone in my life who is not showing up in the way that I deserve. And so what the deep story that starts to sink into my mind is, that actually causes the emotional collapse, is like, oh wow, I've let this happen. Like, oh wow, I've perpetuated this dynamic. Like, how could I have been so silly to have let this happen, right? Or like, I wasted my time. It starts to sink. It's like these stories, like, I'm silly, I have bad judgment, I wasted my time, right? Those stories, those deep stories, start to fast, like micro flashes. They start to play, and all of them come together in this crescendo that causes an emotional shutdown. But it's actually very hard to pinpoint because of how fast it's happening. And all of the stories together create this emotional pit in your stomach. And that's why a lot of the time, if you've ever been around somebody who has big emotions and feels their feelings very deeply, when they're feeling the feeling, they will actually, and someone's like, oh, what's wrong? These are the kind of people who say, like, I don't know. And you want to know why I think they say I don't know? Because I'm like this. It's because there are so many things happening in the mind. There are so many competing stories from the past that are like flying around, because your body is like, your logical mind like knows you're safe. Like, I know I'm sitting in this car listening to my best friend tell me something that she's concerned about. I know that logically I am okay. And I also know logically that she's right? But then in the body, there's these past memories that are being accessed that are all like, it's like the memory, it's the emotional encoding, the emotional memory from the past that's like flooding up to the surface. And then it's all of the stories that you attached to that emotion, and it creates this like clash of like rapid sound. It's like almost deafening, And then when someone says, are you okay? Right? Are you okay? You can't find the words to even answer it. That's why it's like, I don't know. Because I do, like, my internal experience is so extreme, it's so chaotic that I can't even put the words to it. I'm just trying to like bring this to life for anyone who feels like they're an emotional processor, a slow emotional processor like me, because I think that if you're on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is more what Danny and Talia are, they are logical processors. They're very fast. So if I were to tell them a truth, like, I want you to be with a man who, you know, treats you like the goddess you are, and you know, treats you in the way that you're deserving of, because you deserve the world and you're very radiant. If I were to tell that to Talia, her logical mind would immediately understand it, and she would not feel the emotions associated with those statements. She'd just be like, oh, you're right. And then she'd integrate it and click it into place. Whereas when I hear feedback like that, there's an emotional response first. There's like an emotional click that has to happen and be processed. And then my logical mind, once the emotions settle, is able to be like, okay, I've integrated it now. I've shortened the window between these two things. It used to be, like I've said in a previous video, I'd get a piece of feedback, I'd have to emotionally process it, which would in some cases take a couple of days. Like I'd feel it so very deeply. And then I would logically understand and be okay. What I'm noticing within myself now, using yesterday as an example, is they will tell me something, like Talia will tell me something that makes me feel in the moment, makes me feel very deeply in the moment. And then within a day, if not a couple hours actually, I will process it logically and be fine. So my window between the feedback and the integration meaning like when someone tells you a lesson and brings to light something that you weren't aware of, and when you put it into practice, that would be like integration. So Talia telling me like, you deserve to be with somebody who understands your value and shows up as the man that you deserve. Her telling me that, and then me hearing it, feeling it, logically understanding it, and then taking action towards that. In this case, it would be like, okay, what I need to do is to be more discerning, to not be committed to somebody who has not earned it in my head, and to be fully myself in all moments and be completely detached from the outcome of whatever it may be with this person that I have a crush on, right? So now I'm living, like right now today, this is why I started the video by saying like, I'm extremely dramatic, because the last video that I recorded yesterday, here I am sitting on this floor feeling very emotional after being with Danny and Talia, and that's how I process, is I start with the emotions, and I'm sitting here and I'm crying, and now here I am yet again, and I've already moved through those emotions, and I'm able to just like walk you through the experience, right? It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating. It gives me a whole new appreciation for like how I process, and that I am a slow emotional processor, because I am the opposite to Danny and Talia, and they don't feel as deeply as I do. And I think me feeling this deeply is such an asset. It feels dramatic sometimes when I'm sitting here and I'm shedding tears and I'm basically saying like, I have a block with telling the truth, right? I felt the depth of that. I felt I got to live in like what it was like to sit here on the floor and openly tell you that I have a block telling the truth. I have a block speaking my feelings and owning my feelings, right? And I could feel the heaviness of that for me, right? And then tonight on the phone with Danny for 3 hours, we talked about so many things. We walked through multiple different ways of making it logically click for me, like making me comfortable with the next step, which is just being very comfortable speaking my truth. And what finally, after we went through multiple ways of saying the same thing, right, to like make the strength of the emotion match a story, like find a story that clicked for me, that finally got me to move. And what finally got me to move on this block I have around being fully vulnerable and putting myself out there with the guys that I actually like, what got me to move was Danny saying, one of your values is truth. And if you suppress the truth with guys that you like, that's the only category I do that with. If you suppress the truth with guys that you like, you're not living your values. That was a very good perspective that got me to see it differently, because it got me to see it outside of myself. It was like, oh, okay, one of my values is truth. And if I'm not being truthful with everyone, right, then I'm being hypocritical. And I have to be living in alignment with my values. And if I want to be living in alignment with my values, I have to own my feelings and I have to speak the truth. Or else I'm not being truthful in all moments and I'm not living my values. So interesting. So interesting. But here's the thing. If I just instantly got this, like if I were to be a more of an intellectual, like logical processor, which bypasses the emotions underneath it, like Danny and Talia do, which isn't a bad thing. I'm saying this all neutrally. Like it's very neutral that I'm emotional, and it's very neutral that Danny and Talia don't require sitting in the emotions as deeply as I do. But I think that the gift of me sitting in the emotions as deeply as I do is I want to understand how to move out of the emotion. And so I will sit there in an almost exhaustive way, and Danny and Talia will tell me, like, they will try to come up with ways to get me to move. Like, they will get creative trying to get me to move through this emotion. And if I wasn't emotional, they wouldn't be doing that. And what we're doing in these moments where they're telling me all these different ways of saying the same thing is like, have you ever been in a lecture where a professor will say, like, okay, this is what we're learning today, and they'll say 5 different explanations and only one of them will make sense to you? That is why me being emotional is important. I have to feel these things so deeply, even though I know better, because it challenges the 3 of us to come up with all the different explanations. Because there's not one size fits all explanation. There's going to be one person who gravitates towards A or B or C or D or E. And because I'm emotional and I want to exhaustively understand how to move through the emotion, we come up with all of these things. We come up with all of these stories and frames, and it really helps people. It really, really helps people. Oh, wow. It's really special when I think about it. I used to see this as a negative, and I think that's why I'm so excited to be like sharing this with you, because I really do see it as a positive now. I understand my role in the 3 of our dynamic. I used to think I was behind them. I used to think that I was lesser than because I was more emotional, because I would fall off the earth, because I was more sensitive, like I would make things a bigger deal. And it's like, no, it's amazing that I was sitting on the floor crying yesterday about being black or white and all or nothing. Because if I didn't sit there and say all of those things, which are very much coming from like past wounds I've already moved past, but they just like float to my awareness when I'm doing these videos. And I think these are stories that a lot of people can relate to, so they can see myself in the words. Then they can see themselves in me moving past the words. That's why it's powerful. So Danny watches my video from last night and we talk about it, and he's like, you know, when you say you're all or nothing and you're black and white, I challenge you to think like, why? Like, what if you didn't have to be all or nothing, black or white? What if that's great once you're already committed? What if you can be all or nothing, black and white when you're married? How do you expect to be all or nothing, black and white in the beginning of a relationship when you don't know that person yet and they haven't deserved that level of commitment for you, right? They haven't earned that level of ride or die ship, right? And it's only because I was so emotional that I said all of those thoughts, those old stories that I had from the past that just like bubbled up, because that's what happens when I'm in these strong emotions. It's only because I said that in that video that Danny could say, wait, I want to challenge that though, because why can't we be more comfortable living in the gray? Because living in the gray is how you get to know someone. There has to be a level of, hey, I like you as a person, and I'm going to watch your behavior closely, and I want you to watch my behavior closely. And if we continue to like each other and like what we see, then we can naturally and slowly progress. And then we can get to a point where there's the mutual, you know, ride or die nature of the dynamic where we're all in. But you don't want to start all in, because why would you start all in when the other person, you don't even know them and they haven't deserved it and they haven't earned it, right? Like, why would you want someone to be all in on you when you don't know them fully? And so it's so powerful. I'm like so excited. I feel like I'm hopped up. And it's wild because it's 3 a.m. and I really should go. Oh my gosh. I've been talking so long again. I swear I go into a black hole when I do these videos. I totally thought this was going to be a 5-minute one. I hope that there was a nugget of wisdom in here. I love you so much. I love you so much. This is so fun, isn't it? I shock myself every time. Moral of the story is, I'm so grateful that I feel so deeply. I am so grateful that I have the courage to share all of these feelings, because I can't make a mistake. I can't do anything wrong. Every single one of these teaches me, Danny and Talia, so much that I truly do believe like we are creating through some of my deep emotions and how to move through them, among a bunch of other things. We are creating frameworks that will like really help people, It's amazing to think about. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for my emotions in this moment. I can really, really, really understand people at any emotional state because I feel them so deeply. That's such an incredible realization. Makes me love myself. I love my little dramatic self who feels so deeply and who has the courage to share it with you. Wow. Oh my gosh. I love you. We're doing such good work here, and we're really helping people. Like, this happens all the time in our conversations with people. Oh my gosh. Helping people get unstuck, helping them find like just an attachment and freedom. Oh my gosh. Thank you to everyone who's ever come in my life that helps me unlock these things. I'm so grateful. Like, seriously, I'm so grateful. It's all, what if it was easy? It is so easy. I can speak the truth so easily and effortlessly because honesty is one of my values. It's just so exciting when all this clicks. Eee! Oh my gosh, okay. I love you so much. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Coming at you live from 3:08 in the morning. Love you.